Hello Glittecclesia. I'm finally making my glitter video because Emmy won't stop nagging. And I didn't really take time to prepare to answer these questions. And so if I don't know the answer, I'll just move on. And I have to apologize in advance to Allie, because I forgot what posts she put her questions under, and they're not here, so sorry about that. But, you know, Allie, you know that I love you, and I would do anything for you, you know, obviously. And I think Emmy wanted me to say that we were going to have beautiful blue-eyed babies. I think my eyes are blue. Blue to you? I can't tell here. Okay. So Tom asks, what is God? And why are you wrong? Firstly, I would say that I'm a panentheist. And as a panentheist, I believe that God is both transcendent and immanent, and the immanent is suspended from the transcendent. So the world that we live in, creation, is immanent, but it's suspended from the transcendent. And so the transcendent part of God sort of unravels into the immanent in order to create this realm of radical freedom and evolution, which can act upon the persuasion of the transcendent or not. And so I would say that God is like a person. God is transpersonal, and God can embody as a person, but God is not literally a person like we are. So why am I wrong? I'm wrong because all the language that I use for God is, you know, as Aquinas says, it's human language, it's metaphors. It really, you know, it's like I'm grasping for straw. I mean, do I really know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about a mystery. I'm theorizing about something I've never seen using metaphors. Of course I'm wrong. Talk about my childhood. I grew up, I'm not going to say too many things about my childhood now, but I grew up a fundamentalist. Very conservative, you know, only a few of us are going to heaven, everyone else is going to hell for all of eternity, and, you know, I went to fundamentalist private schools and so on and so forth. I eventually went to a Bible college, which was fundamentalist. Then I became agnostic, and so I went through a crisis of doubt and came back sort of as a postmodern agnostic kind of a Christian, and became a universalist and a pluralist and those sorts of things. And I persuaded my parents to become liberal and to become universalists, and so it's kind of what's happened in my life. What's the longest your hair has ever been? That's Tom again. I guess my hair has, you know, not down this low, but it's kind of gotten about that long, you know, about that long, something like that. Tom asks again, how long have you believed in God? How do I know? I don't know when I started believing in God. It's only as long as I can remember. Maybe I was born an atheist, maybe I wasn't. Depends on whether you're reading Freud or you're reading Foucault or, you know, Lacan or a fundamentalist theologian. You know. Discuss your favorite artist, musical or otherwise. Tom again. I really like Bat for Lashes. I really like Grimes. I like Purity Ring, you know, synth pop. There's not really a lot to say about it, except say if you want to understand it, you need to listen to it. It's amazing. Tom asks again, what is your favorite food? I really like lobster. I like filet mignon. That fancy stuff. Zachary Williams asks, belly button, innie or outie? I assume that what he's asking me is whether I like girls who have, belly buttons that protrude outward or that go inward. Well, if you take a good look at my Tumblr, you'll see all the girls that I blog or reblog have innies. So there you go. But I've never really thought about that. Zachary asks again, favorite chocolate bar? That's not something I really think about. I have no idea. I guess, something organic. Fair trade chocolate or something. Zachary Williams asks again, what is the meaning of existence? I would say that the meaning of existence is to love the other. That's why we were made. Zachary asks again, who really shot JR? I'm just going to leave that. Tom asks, what is existence of meaning? Existence of meaning. I guess he means like, does meaning exist? Meaning is not a tangible thing. You can prove it exists. It's like asking, does goodness exist, or truth, or morality, or love? I gotta say, yeah, it exists, but not in the same way that my hand or face exist. Ian asks, will you please stop shaving and let your beard flow freely? Ian, I like my beard as it is. Teach his own. Why do you want everyone to be like you? Don't you want to be unique? Be proud of who you are. Zachary Williams asks, I imagine he's referring to Tom's question. Emmy writes, give me that shout out like you promised. Okay, I think we're going to have blue-eyed babies. Okay, that thing. What is your definition of a soul? Do you believe in souls? Well, I would say personhood, personal identity, the things that constitute our unique individual identities are contingent, that the core of our consciousness, the core of our being is beyond personhood. So probably in the same way that a Hindu would think of a soul. It's reincarnated and it's a different person, but it's the same core of consciousness. I guess that's what I would say a soul is to me. And do I believe in souls? Yes, I believe in souls. I can't prove it, but I do. I believe that there's a part of us that is transcendent and that goes on, whether we call it a soul or the ether or an astral body, whatever. Emmy asks, what do you think of the multiverse theory? Well, I haven't studied it that much. I don't think I believe in it, really. That's something I've really looked into a whole lot. And she asks, how did you find out Santa wasn't real? That was a bad experience. Actually, my mom brought me to sit on Santa's lap, and after we were finished, she said to me, did you notice that Santa knew your name? And I didn't tell him your name. How did he know your name? It's magic. She was trying to persuade me that, this is the real Santa. He knew your name and I didn't tell him, that kind of thing. And, it wasn't even like, I don't know, 5 minutes or 10 minutes later she tells me that Santa's not real, Like, she must have all of a sudden felt guilty she was lying to me. And I was, scarred, of course. It was like becoming an atheist, same kind of feeling. What is an irrational fear you have? What is an irrational fear I have? I mean, I'm afraid of heights. I don't know if it's irrational. I don't know if I'd say I have an irrational fear, like a phobia or anything. No, not really then. Anything that I can think of. And then she writes, "Okay, I'm done, Michael. I'm done, L-Y, Michael. L-Y. I don't know what L-Y means. And then a heart. Okay. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Joel, blah, blah, blah. Now people are just like talking about stuff and asking questions. Is God a woman? And the Big Bang of multiverses. This is the shit I think about at like 3 a.m. Smiley face. Why the fuck don't you have a glorious beard such as mine? Make the video already. Sigh. Sweet baby Jeebus. Fishing. Okay. I don't think I skipped any questions. Chris asks, are you an egalitarian or a complementarian? Well, I'm obviously an egalitarian. What else would I be? Moving on. What's your favorite color? Blue. Is world peace possible? Well, I guess we have yet to see. I hope it is. I really do. I'm an anarchist at heart, so Is the JT Hunsaker asks, is the answer really 42? Yes. Chris asks, do you think there is any sense of subjectivity in mathematics? Yes, I do, actually. Mathematics is a language. All language is subjective. All language is symbolic. These numbers are symbols, I'm sure there's like something about math that doesn't effectively reduce reality or capture it. So I would say at the level that mathematics is reductive or short-sighted, it's it's subjective. It's a language. Chris asks, how would you confront someone who disagrees with you or proposes some concept that you don't agree with at all, but you don't want to be mean? You have to act it out for us with a wig and everything. Go all out answering this question. I'm not going to wear a wig. For instance, pretend Bear Your Cross says something you disagree with, and you want to tell him you disagree with him. How would you go by doing so? I would probably say something, I'm sassy. Or I might say something sassy, or just civilly disagree or whatever. I mean, if it's in person, I'm not going to start yelling, I might walk out of the room if if it gets real heated, but usually I'm just, I'll be sassy and then I'll stop talking, I don't know. I'd probably just try not to punch him. Sandy asks, what was your worst church experience? Has it affected how you view God and Christianity? my worst church experience, I'm not really sure. It was all bad, you know. It's hard for me to say, but I grew up in fundamentalist, in conservative churches. It made me think that God was angry at me all the time. I eventually thought that Christianity was just a religion of fear, an illusion. This dual narrative of heaven and hell really bothered me. It messed me up, That's why I'm in the Glute Ecclesia. If you had to eat only one food forever, what would it be? Be like, potatoes or cheese or bread, that kind of thing. I'm Dutch and Swedish. We like that stuff. Do you have a pet? No. I'll probably get one, when I have time to take care of it. If so, it should have a cameo in the video. How many times did you take your driving test before you passed? Once, but I shouldn't have passed it because I didn't look at my blind spot when I changed lanes. But the woman passed me anyway because she liked me. When or with whom did you have your first kiss? If you want to talk about that, obviously. I had my first kiss was like in the parking lot in front of a bookstore at night, I guess. It was awkward at first, and then it was good. That's all I'm going to say. And that comes to the end of the questions in 17 minutes. Again, Allie, I apologize. I don't know where your questions are, but I give all my love to the Glute Ecclesia. I wish you all a nice evening and a beautiful spring. And may you all realize that you are God.